Hey there, and welcome. Today we're jumping into something called behavioral design, and if you're a developer, trust me, this is for you. It's all about figuring out why people do what they do, so all that hard work you put into building awesome features, well, it actually gets used and, loved. So let's get right into it.
You've been there, right? You spend weeks, maybe months, coding this perfect feature. The code is clean, it's efficient, it's a work of art, and then you look at the usage data. Nothing. It is one of the most soul-crushing feelings for a developer. But what if the problem isn't your code at all? What if it's just a simple misunderstanding of how people tick?
So here's the game plan for today. First, we're going to diagnose why our features sometimes just fall flat. Then, we'll get into the big idea of designing for actual human behavior, and I'll show you a super simple formula to get your head around it. After that, we get to the good stuff, a practical toolkit you can start using like tomorrow. And we'll wrap it all up with a really important ethics check. Okay, so let's start with a bit of a hard truth. Most of the time, when a feature fails, it's not because of a bug. It's because we built it on a shaky assumption. The assumption that if we build it, people will just naturally find it, understand it, and want to use it. But the real world is messy. Our users are busy, they're distracted, and what they're actually struggling with is often completely invisible to us while we're deep in the code. This brings us to a really powerful idea: jobs to be done. Instead of thinking about what features to build, we need to ask, what job is our user trying to hire our product to do for them? What problem, what struggle are they trying to solve in their life? Maybe nobody is using your fancy new export to CSV feature because their real struggle isn't about downloading data, it's about sharing it with their team. Understanding that underlying goal, well, that's everything. And that leads us straight to the solution: behavioral design. This is all about flipping the script. Instead of trying to make our users change their behavior to fit our product, we design our product to fit how they already behave. It's a huge shift from just wishful thinking to building things that work in the real world.
So what is this thing really?
Well, at its core, behavioral design is just a systematic way of understanding how people make decisions. It's not about dark patterns or trickery. It's about using solid, proven research from psychology and behavioral science to make our products more intuitive, more helpful, and frankly, more successful. All right, that all sounds great in theory, right? But how do we actually apply it? What we need is a simple mental model. And luckily, there's a really powerful one that helps us understand why people do, well, anything. And here it is. This is the Fogg Behavior Model, and it is so incredibly useful. It basically says that for any behavior to happen, three things have to all come together at the exact same moment. First, you need motivation. Does the user even want to do the thing? Second, you need ability. Is it easy for them to do? And this isn't just about skill. It's about reducing friction. Fewer clicks, simpler forms, less thinking. And third, you need a prompt. That's the trigger, the little cue that says, hey, do this now. If even one of those is missing, the action just isn't going to happen.
Okay. Now for the really fun part. We've got the theory down, so let's turn this into stuff you can actually use on your next sprint. This is your practical toolkit for putting these ideas into action.
So how can we use this model? Well, there are pretty much three core strategies, and they go in order of how effective they are. The absolute best thing you can do: automate the action. This makes the ability part of the formula totally effortless. Think of things like smart defaults in a form or auto-saving a document. If you can't automate it, your next best bet is to help the user build a habit by linking the action to a routine with a good prompt. The hardest path, and really your last resort, is trying to support a conscious action. That requires a ton of motivation from your user. And when we're talking about motivation, it's super important to know that there are two main types. You've got extrinsic motivation. That's doing something for an external reward, like getting loyalty points. It can work, sure, but it's often kind of short-lived. The real powerhouse, the one you want to aim for, is intrinsic motivation. That's when someone does something just because it's personally satisfying or feels meaningful. Tapping into that is the secret to creating real, long-term engagement.
So how do we actually support these actions? Okay, here's a quick list of some common, totally non-slimy tactics. They're all great, but let's just pick out two that are super relevant for us as developers. First up, social proof. That's when you see something like 2,000 other devs started this repo. It just instantly builds trust and makes you feel like you're in the right place. And second, progressive disclosure. This one's huge. Instead of throwing every single option at the user at once, you just reveal the complexity as they need it. It makes your UI feel so much cleaner and dramatically lowers that entryability barrier we talked about.
Okay, we've just gone over some really powerful tools that can influence what people do.
And, with great power comes great responsibility. So we absolutely have to talk about ethics. This is not an optional add-on. It's a core part of being a good designer and developer.
A really simple tool we can use to check ourselves is something called Near-Eal's manipulation matrix. It's not about pointing fingers, it's just a personal gut check for us, the people making the product. And it really just comes down to two straightforward questions.
So, here's the first question, and it's a big one. You have to ask yourself honestly, does the thing I'm building materially improve the user's life? Not just in some tiny, insignificant way, but does it genuinely make their life better? Are you helping them build a healthy habit, or are you just creating another distraction?
And the second question is just as critical. Would I or do I use this product myself? If you can look yourself in the mirror and honestly answer a big yes to both of those questions, then you're on the right track. You're what IO calls a facilitator, someone who's genuinely helping users improve their lives through technology.
And really, that brings us to the most important principle of all. No matter what framework or tactic you're using, just remember this. We are not the heroes of this story. Our products aren't the heroes. Our job is to build the tools that empower our users to be the hero of their own story.